Welcome to the big breath. This is the third in the series so far, and I've covered quite a few things in the previous videos. One thing I've been particularly focusing on is that breath is an important part of our health. Breath is not just about air coming in out of the lungs, about the exchange of carbon dioxide and oxygen and some physiological principles. When we're breathing, we're using the whole of the chest. We're engaging even into the abdominal muscles. There's a lot of movement going on. We are regulating the nervous system. We can talk about sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. We can talk about a calming and a revitalizing within the body and the nervous system. And in terms of the mind, it has a very clarifying effect and helping us to feel a sense of calm and clarity in our thinking. In terms of health, of course, there's a lot of things we need to do on a regular basis, on a day-to-day basis, several times a day. This is quite different to illness, where when we have an illness, we're very preoccupied what's happening in that moment, in that crisis, and we're looking at ways to prevent the illness getting worse. And so this is important, but it's a kind of crisis management, if you like, in terms of health. And you might say it's also a negative aspect of health, because in the sense we don't want to get ill. Now let me just say, doesn't matter how healthy you are, there's always going to be some time when it slips. You know, our health isn't always at its optimum. Suddenly there's a weakness and an illness comes into the body or comes out of the body from time to time, and this is what it happens. You hear stories of people who say, I've never been ill in my life, I've been very healthy, and the next moment somebody's died. So these are extremes. But the thing is, we can be over concerned about illness. We can be very frightened about what might happen. And also, it's very short term. So the interesting thing is, we're very occupied with illness when it's happening, but when it's all gone, we forget about it quite quickly, and so do we forget about what we need to do to be healthy to prevent it happening again. And I'm not talking about taking medications, getting medical treatment or anything of that nature, which, although important, will not in itself improve your health, which is what my concern is. And this starts off in the mind. I mean, physically we have to do something every day. It requires some discipline and practice, and I've been encouraging you to practice your breathing regularly, every day, twice a day, or whenever you have a moment. You know, we can do that. And breathing is so good in this sense because it's something we have to do. It's happening all the time, and the beauty is it's happening whether we focus on it or not. Thankfully, if not, we would be dying. But it does mean that we can control the breathing, or we can just let it go involuntary, and we will keep breathing. And this is a fact of life. For instance, you cannot not breathe. You cannot not breathe. It's impossible. You can only hold your breath for so long. And so this is our nature. This is our spirituality as well. But in terms of the mind, it's like, imagine your mind's got two ears. One ear is listening to the negative aspects in your life and what's going wrong, and the other ear of your mind is listening to all the positive aspects and what's going right in your life and the good things. I see so many times that people's good ear, as it were, is blocked. And so they're only listening to all the negative things, and they're worrying about the illnesses, and they're worrying about all this, that, and the other, in the negative side of the mind, if you like. And this can then predominate. And this is what we don't want, especially in today's circumstances, we to some extent need to be very selective in our hearing. And so I'm encouraging you to listen to the good ear, to the positive things, the things we can do to benefit our health, and kind of almost switch off on the other side a little bit of your mind. Both are important. Again, it's like this concept of yin and yang. We've got to get the balance right. But as a whole, the negative side, that part of our thinking tends to predominate. The reason why it predominates is because also we don't have a right development in the heart, in our spiritual consciousness, in our understanding of nature and the world at large and what happens beyond that. That's a whole new ballgame. But in general terms, if our heart is open and expanded and calm and love and beauty and goodness, and we realize the nature, the importance of our health, all these are kind of more of a heartfelt feeling, then that will influence your mind, and you'll be more likely to develop the good side, the good ear, if you like, and get the balance right. So this is just a little bit of attention to be aware of. And we're encouraging this, of course, all the time through our practices. The other central focus of what I'm teaching in the Big Breath is this aspect of Qi. Now, you've probably already grasped, to understand it needs quite a big leap of faith, really, because it's something you can't see, something you can't touch. And this infinite, untouchable, if you like, it's easy to say, well, it doesn't have any influence on us. But even in the beginning of life, and it's said in the spiritual sense that when you're in the mother's womb, the spirit, the divine, breathes life into you and your soul is born. And so we get this metaphorical and these ideas coming through the breathing, the infinite energy, the life coming in. I think we always realize that life is more than what we just physically we see, think about, feel, and so on. And I've given some other examples about what Qi is. And one of my favorites really is that Qi is not a thing, it is the reason for the existence of things. Qi is not a thing, but the reason for the existence of things. I gave the analogy of a fish in water. I mean, it's a material example, but the fish cannot live without the water. So if we say like the water represents the Qi, if that disappears, the fish will die. And of course, the fish in the water, the fish can die, irrespective of whether the water's not there, and then the fish dissolves, degrades, and goes into the water. The water, metaphorically, being the Qi. So the fish needs the water, and the water nurtures the fish, but the water doesn't become the fish. Our Qi doesn't become our physical sense. It's like that shadow. The body cannot escape its shadow in the sunlight. It's the invisible friend, if you like. But the fact is, if it's not there, this is the leap of faith that we need to take. This connection. Some said, example of the Qi, like a second blood. The second blood. In the sense that the blood circulates energy and nutrition to the organ, to the tissues of the body, so that we can live. And also, it keeps us conscious. As it goes to the brain, we are conscious. So if the blood is lacking and it's not moving, then we both lose, the tissues die, and we lose consciousness. The same thing if we say that Qi is like a second blood, because if it's not circulating and nurturing, nourishing, and we would therefore die and we lose our consciousness. So these little things might gradually help you but it is a sense of you so accepting this in order to understand what Qigong is all about. And Qigong is the practice that we're actually doing, using the breathing in this sense. We can do the Qigong with movements, with meditation, many other things, but Qigong is the essence, Qigong. So we've got the Qi, and then we have the Gong, G-O-N-G. Yeah. Now, the two they're integrated like the Qi and the body, the Qi and the physical life, but the same relationship. Qi is not energy. Qi is not your breath. Right? It is not a physical thing. Remember, it's the reason for the existence of things. They work together, but the Qi cannot be exchanged. They cannot be exchanged in that way. And this is easier that way. You know, people have a great difficulty explaining what Qigong is. Gong literally means, in Chinese, work, effort over a period of time. So you're working and practicing, which is what we're doing with the breathing. We're working and practicing. Independently, it seems, we're making this physical effort. Qi, you can't work the Qi. How can you work something you can't touch and see? It's a natural phenomena, a spiritual phenomena. Yeah, that will find its way. Just like water will find its way through anywhere and through everything. You don't have to force it. It will find its way. Yeah, and so you create channels for the water to go in. You build reservoirs. You all sorts of things to contain the water. Otherwise, it'll just. So the body, in that sense, is like creating a channel, a reservoir to contain the idea of Qi, you might say, as an example. Yeah. So we work the gong, the breathing, the movement, physically, mentally, emotionally, energetically. That's where the work comes. And then quite often, like we do at the end of this session or many times during the day, you just sit quietly and do nothing. Now, when you do nothing completely with all those physical capacities, then the Qi is naturally flowing itself and doing what it needs to do. You can't fight nature. Neither can you push it. Even if you want certain things to happen, you can create the right conditions. And that's what we're doing. And that's what health really means. It's about the condition, creating the right conditions for the person who has an illness. And so we don't focus in Qigong, as it were, on curing the illness, finding a cure. We don't concentrate on the disease itself. We look at the condition of the body and how we can optimize that so that the naturalness, the spiritual nature of the body can find the healing and improve our health and well-being. So these important things. So this is where we're coming from and, in a sense, where we're going to. So we've been doing quite a bit of practice with the breathing, and this is the position I'm sitting here. I last time was lying down on the bed, and I was saying lying breathing is an excellent way. I know recently in the medical side of things, they're saying, lying on your back and breathing is not going to be helpful, but you realize the reason they said that was if you're in hospital and you're lying on your back and you're not able to breathe very well, the energy physiologically and the Qi is going to stagnate in the body. And so if you can't move and breathe, there's a problem. And so they turn you over onto the front. Now, this is the way they manage it medically. But from the health point of view, we want to increase our capacity and ability to breathe on the back. So if we are in that situation, the energy and the Qi circulation is less likely to stagnate. You'll see the benefits straight away. So, and I find breathing lying down the back, you can get longer, deeper breathing. It's really easy to engage all what you need to engage. And also, as I said before, it can help you to sleep and bring you into a nice, calm state. But in the sitting position, again, we've done most of the work and we will today in the sitting. sitting upright in this way. You can rest your back against something if you're struggling, but as time goes on, the more you practice, you get stronger in your posture. Sitting becomes easier. And then we can progress to standing, doing all the same things standing, and then that leads nicely into moving Qigong and Tai Chi and so on and so forth. So this is it. And originally we said the first thing is to engage the whole of the waist, which moves from the pelvic area right up to here at the top and the shoulders and the chest. So I said when you're breathing out, you breathe out and you feel like you're slightly coming forward and compressing down into the pelvic area, the abdominal area. When you're breathing in, you're slowly coming back and you're feeling the breathing coming up here. So this is quite up and down breathing. Out, 2, 3, in, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, and so on. You can see my hands there. And while you breathe, if you want, you can just move nicely. It's a nice way of just massaging gently as you're doing it. Nothing wrong with that at all. And this was the first. So it's very much filling up the container and emptying, slow, and you can build up 4 in, 4 out, 5 in, 6, 7, 8 even, and so on. Yeah. And then we started to look at breathing out 3 times the length of your breath in. So you start with just a 4 in, and then you slowly breathing down and out, slower, 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 to 12. Maybe start at 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, and you'll notice by the end that tummy will be tightening, it'll be contracting to expel the air. Yeah. And I also mentioned about breathing. Try not to breathe too much directly through the nose. So you're not blowing your nose, you're not focusing just on your nose. You're trying to get this feeling going a little bit towards the back of the nose and the throat. So you might be able to hear because I've got this earpiece on. When I'm breathing in, for instance, and out, that's coming from the back. If you want to encourage that noise, it does tend to increase the heat in your body. It's used specifically in yoga for that purpose. You don't want to overdo it. If you've got a dry throat or anything like that, then you wouldn't do it. Just stick to the easier breathing through the nose. But this is an alternative. And if you want to practice that, basically try it first with the mouth open. So you go. Now, if you kept doing that, your mouth would get very dry and it's not going to do you any good at all. But gradually, as you do that, you gradually close the mouth, touch the tongue slightly to the roof of your mouth behind your teeth and do it. And then you'll be channeling everything where you want it to go. So, you almost feel like you're not breathing out through your nose, but obviously you are because your mouth is closed. That's coming out your ears, but there you go. So, we've increased the breathing, triple breathing, we call it. Yeah. And then we looked into breath holding. First, we said we're going to breathe in for 4, hold the breath for 4, breathe out for 4, hold the breath out for 4. And you can see what I'm doing. I'm using my hands. You feel the stomach, you feel it coming up, but I'm just going to hold it here. Now I've got the clock here with me today, which is really helpful. You should be able to pick it up. If you've got a clock like that, it's 1 second, so it helps you to do all your counting. This is really quite useful when you're first starting. You can then breathe this into 5 and hold for 5, 6 and hold for 6. Now, of course, you can see I'm using my hands again to illustrate the fullness. So if I come in, That's up to 6. Hold it. Out. Hold. Yeah. You could build that up to 7, 8 even. Right? So these are all progressive, right? All progressive. Don't have to do them all in the same session. The next step, right, was to replace that breath hold with an extra in or an extra out. So you breathe in 4, hold it for, breathe in for another 2, say, so, and then hold it for the final 2. So instead of 4, hold 4, you breathe in 4 and then an extra little 2 and then hold 2 and then go out 4, the last 2 out, you feel that little bit of it really out, and then you hold for 2 and then away you go again. Now this is going to start creating something more expansive, and you're going to start to feel, in order to do this, it's going to come out, it's going to come around here into the lower chest and up round into the chest and right up to the top here eventually. It's like a spiral effect. You can see this motion of the hand. And so if you were to go into breathe in 8, for instance, that'd be 8 breathing in plus another 8 breathing in, that'd be 16 in, and the same 16 out. That'd come up to less than 2 breaths a minute. Now that's going some. So you start with your 4 until you can get 4 plus 2 plus 4. So you're breathing in for 8 and then breathing out for 8. And then you'd go back to say 5, 5, hold 5. Yeah, breathe out 5 and hold. Then the next time, breathe in 5 and 2 and hold just, for the other 3. Remember, you got to 5 counting in tens now. And the same until you've got 10, 5 plus 5 in and out. Got it? 10. And then 6, which will be a total of 12 in and 12 out. We've got the idea. Let's just do whatever you feel first, just to see. And see as you can start to feel as you get a little bit bigger. If you get to 5 and 6, you'll feel this widening. You have to, in order to get the fullness of the breath. So here we go. Breathing in. Out. Yeah, so I'm going to breathe in for 5 and then add another 5 to it. So I'll breathe in for 10, okay? Just to give you an example. You can do what you like, okay? Breathing in. Out. Okay, see what you can do. I'll make more sound with the breathing. So I'm going to breathe in. Out. Yeah. As I said, actually lying down, it's easier, but it'd be nice to progress to the sitting position. So this is where we got to. Now I'm going to do another couple. First one, what I want us to do, it's in yoga, it's called Bhastrika. It's a bellows breath. And basically we're using, as we've been breathing out, and we've been doing it slowly, right? Now the purpose of the bellows breath is you do it quickly. And you can hear the out breath is coming from the nose and towards the back of the nose each time I breathe out. You don't try to breathe in, it comes in automatically. And you keep doing that until you feel the muscles fatigue, and then you just have some nice easy breathing in and out. And again, the focus here is on the abdominal area. So you're just relaxing the abdomen, not coming into the chest. You'll feel like to do that anyway. So we'll just keep going. And you usually finish with a nice full breath out. So when you finish the last out, let it come up. You can let it, at that point, you can let it come up to here if you like, but ideally you just rest down to here. Yeah. You can practice the abdominal exercises separately if you find, just to get, because we're training in these muscles, you see. We use physical exercise, physical work, Qigong work. Yeah, working the breath, working the muscles, improving the strength, the vitality of the internal organs and all the important internal organs in here, ventilators, and working through the chest and the heart by increasing the circulation. All this stuff's going on. Yeah, what you can actually then get a little bit more on the breathing in as well. So it's it can sound a bit like you're sawing wood. That will get the heat. Suddenly I can feel the heat coming right up. Right? So if you're the sort of person that suffers with cold, that takes a bit of practice. Okay, so I'm not expecting you to do it straight away, but it's fun. And it does get things moving. Yeah. So start slowly. You don't have to go that quick. You can go. Yeah, you can do all sorts of little things. It's great fun and good exercise for the abdominal muscles. I had some really bad back issues years ago. I was crippled with it, and I couldn't do sit-ups anymore, and I never have for 30 odd years. And all these sort of things were helpful to keep the muscles toned up, particularly the internal muscles. I mean, you might still have some sort of more fat subcutaneously, as it were, but deep inside we're training the deep muscles, and they're the ones that we want to work. Yeah. Now, when we've done that, right, we have a moment, we can just relax and breathing and go back to even breathing, 3 in, 3 out, 4 in, 4 out, with a little pause in between and everything. And already you feel this kind of glow, you know. If I say you feel a glow, or you feel nice, you feel alive, you feel more awake, you could say this is the Qi. Yeah. This sense of being alive, something you can't describe. Oh, I just feel good, you know. You could say this is the Qi. And you can imagine it's just bathing, like the water, and bathing the whole body and soothing the mind and so on in the brain. Now, another breathing exercise I use it taking from yoga again, alternate nostril breathing. There are different ways of doing this. I'll show the way I do it. Now, why do we do it? Now, we've got, obviously, again, left and right. You know, most of what we have in our body comes in pairs. We've got left and right nostril. Again, a bit like the yin and yang. And interestingly enough, from the Qigong point of view, the right nostril is considered yang, and the left nostril, your left nostril, is considered yin. And you can actually, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but you can actually realize this when you have a cold. You know, a cold is when you're cold, as opposed to a fever and you're hot. So when you're cold, without an infection that's going to increase the fever, you'll notice that your left nostril will block. And you can test this out for yourself. When your body's that heated, you've got a fever, your fever's coming up, you'll notice that your right nostril is blocked. You can test this. And also, during the day, it changes. For instance, first thing in the morning, you'll notice that your left nostril is probably clearer when you breathe through the left nostril, and your right nostril feels a bit fluidy, if you like. And then at night, you've experienced this when you've had a cold, your left nostril will get blocked in the evening. Your right nostril will be open, not too blocked. If both are blocked, then you know you've got a real good infection, a full blow. You're into it, and it's very difficult to breathe at all. But if that is the case, even with both nostrils blocked, there is a way of unblocking what the left nostril. The left nostril is in the important one. When you're in this case, it's the yin nostril. It's important to get that. So just as a little tip, if you're really ill and you can't breathe through your nostrils, you lie on the right hand side of your body in the bed, and you can't breathe through the left nostril, so it's blocked. So you breathe very gently through the mouth, and as soon as you can, start to feel a little bit coming out of your nose. It won't come out much at first through your left nostril, but you just keep trying. After a few minutes, the breath will start coming out of your nose easier. So you're breathing gently into the mouth. You're not rushing it. You've got to relax your breathing because you're good at your breathing anyway. And then after about 10 minutes, suddenly you can breathe in through the left nostril. And it's wow, you can breathe. Amazing feeling. So you're on your right side, 10 minutes or so, your left nostril opens, and then what? You can go to sleep. Brilliant. It works so well. So what we're looking at today is just getting a nice even movement between the nostrils. No other reason to do it. If you get your thumb and your middle finger onto the nostrils, in some schools they teach you put this one on your third eye and do it this way. Now we hold our breath quite a while, and I found, and other people have found, that when you focus, if you focus too much on this finger on your third eye, it can end up causing some other problems that you don't want. In terms of, you might get tension coming out of it, you might, all sorts of other things. I don't want to go into the moment, but let me just say the easy option is to do it this way and focus on your nostrils. So that's the position. Now we're going to breathe in through the left nostril, then we close both nostrils and hold the breath, then we breathe out through the right nostril, the opposite nostril, right? And then you breathe in from where you breathe out, close both nostrils, hold it again, and then breathe out, going back to where you started. So one cycle is you come in one side, hold the breath, close the nostrils, go out the other side, and then come back in the side you went out, hold the breath, close both nostrils, and then come back out down to where you start. That is one cycle. Just look. So this is my left. You're probably looking in the camera, it's your right, but in this side, close. See, you hold it there, you close your mouth, you close your nose, and then you breathe out this side. You keep the finger on the opposite nose closed, so you don't release there. Right? And then you bring that in where you went out, close, and then when you breathe out, and you come back to the beginning. Okay. Now it is nostril breathing, so you do feel the rush of the air through the nostrils themselves. But as you extend your breathing more, you'll find it useful if you don't emphasize too much the breathing out through the nostril. So otherwise it feels like you're blowing your nose, and then that has consequences. If you've got a bit of a blocked nose, you've got a tissue all the time, right? So see, if I breathe out, if I blow out, it's going to cause a mess. So, but if I go, can you see the difference? Hold it, and then breathe out. Again, we come back to that. The breathing seems to come from the back of the nose and not too much just blowing. Breathing in is not a problem. When you come in, breathe out. That's okay. You really feel it drawing through your nostril, like a fire drawing up the chimney. You feel that. That's okay. I hope you're still with me. Now, there's a formula, 1, 4, 2. So, for instance, if you breathe in for 3, you hold it for 12. Yeah, 1 is 3, so times 4, 12. Breathe out for 6, 2. 2 times 3. So the first one is the standard, 3. So it's 1, 4, 2. So 3, 12, 6. So if we breathe in for 4, it'll be 16, hold, and 8. Breathe out, and then go back. Okay, remember that 1, 4, 2 ratio. So we'll do a little bit, and it's probably easy for you to start with 3. 4 is a good average. 5 is noticeably more difficult. So that's to build up to a bit more. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to come in this side. I'll just do it 3. In. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In. Hold. Out. Yeah, I'm using the clock. Right. Once let's go one more cycle, and using your 3 or your 4. Shall we have a go at 4? Ready? This side. In. Hold. Out. In. Out. Then you relax. Already. It's just like you're smelling something beautiful. And if you've got a near an open window, it's just coming in, and wow, your nostrils just seem to expand. Sometimes I feel like an animal, a dog, a wolf, and you're out there. And as you breathe in, your nostrils just seem to be opening. It's a lovely feeling with nature. You feel everything's just opening. Now, on average, do 6 times, 6 circuits. So one way, the other way is 1. Try and get to 6 circuits, because then you'll start to feel the benefit. When we finished all that, we're coming to the end, and we're just relaxing our breathing. And we don't want to count or anything else. I want you to just have a little bit of consciousness on the breath out and then not breathing. It's quite interesting. So you breathe in, and when you breathe out, you let it go out quite quickly. And then you just pause. Now, you're not counting your breath. You're just breathing in nicely without trying to get a really deep breath, but you want a nice feeling. You want to breathe out quite smoothly and quickly without necessarily emptying your breath. There's no squeezing, there's not a full, just nice and easy, relax, and then pause. And then just be conscious of time passing, and it's as if you don't need to breathe anymore. This is the feeling you can get. Okay, I'll try it. breathing in, I'm going to breathe in. And you feel like you keep going. It really is an interesting experience. Now, what's actually happening physiologically is that we've emptied so much of the carbon dioxide in the bloodstream that this is the effect it can have, right? So the breathing stimulus physiologically is the level of carbon dioxide in your body. When that builds up, it tends to stimulate your breathing. Swimmers know this. It's not necessarily the oxygen, right? We've always got plenty of oxygen. That doesn't tend to stimulate the breathing center in the base of the brain. It's the carbon dioxide levels. So because we've been doing a lot of breathing, we've kind of cleansed the body. The carbon dioxide, the acidity of the blood is lessened. So there's not that stimulus. So when I do this, we've got this prolonged time, and this you can explain physiologically, but it's a great time to feel the calm and easiness within you, and all those things we've been talking about coming to fruition. And if you're somewhere in nature, it's like you're just dissolving and melting into everything around you, and that is feeding you. This is what it's all about. This is really the Qigong. So I hope all this is helpful. You practice in the same order that I've done whenever you do, and just build it up. Practice every day. It's so important. And build this into your standing and your movement, and the sense of vitality will increase tremendously. If you have any questions, contact me through my website, Movement for Life. That's movement with a number 4, life.co.uk. And you can make a comment to me on there. I'll get it and then get back to you. And if you want any individual sessions, I can do them on Zoom. And we can do some tutorials and practices as well on that. So thank you for your attention, and the best of health, the best of health. Thank you.